What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another movie review. Today, I'm going to be talking about Gingerdead Man 2, Passion of the Crust. Well, actually, it has two different names. The name that I watched it under was Gingerdead Man 2, Bakery of Blood, but then in the end credits it said Gingerdead Man 2, Passion of the Crust. But for the purposes of this review, I'm going to go with Gingerdead Man 2, Passion of the Crust, because just has a very nice ring to it. It's a beautiful title. So, the basic. But actually, before I get into anything, I'm just gonna say this movie surprised the hell out of me. I was so pleasantly surprised. It totally exceeded my expectations. In my last review, when I reviewed the first Gingerdead Man, I was like, it was kind of lackluster. It didn't really do it for me. The comedy wasn't there. This one, oh my goodness, the comedy was there. That's what I said, for this type of movie where it's just an outlandish premise, the comedy has to be there. And in this one, the comedy was absolutely there. And the the practical effects were there, the gore effects were there, the kills were there. It was pretty darn bloody. There were some innovative kills. I honestly had a really fun time with this. This was one of the best times I've had with a full moon movie. It was so fun. The overall story I liked. It was the type of thing where it's a movie within a movie. I'll get into the story right now. So you have this movie studio, and they make low budget cult films, pretty much just like, full moon features. And the person who founded the company was the current owner's father, and he was, super iconic, legend status. The son, he's not really, you know, doing that great. The company is pretty much failing in his hands. He's not doing the best. We see, what's going on set, and it's just a total mess. There's a cameo right off the bat. You see John Carl Buechler. He plays the director of the film within the film, so it's cool to see him. There's a couple other cameos too. Later on, you see a quick cameo by Greg Nicotero, who he's another special effects guy. I'm not super familiar with all the stuff he's done, but I recognized his face. I recognized the name. Some of the stuff I just read a quick thing on him, and some of the movies that he's worked on include Halloween 5, which I know a ton of people hate that movie. I'm a huge fan of Halloween 5. He's worked on Cabin Fever, it said. Cabin Fever is super unique, super hilarious. It's probably my favorite Eli Roth movie. I haven't seen a lot of Eli Roth movies, but I like Hostel as well. So, what else? It said he worked on the 2003, I believe it came out in 2003, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake basically. And the prequel to the remake it said he worked on, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which I enjoy that one. So, he's worked on quite a few cool movies that I enjoy. And then the last cameo that there was other cameos of, people, who work in horror and work in Hollywood, but I didn't recognize other people. But the last cameo, the last person that I recognized, and now this is getting into spoiler territory because it's at the very end of the movie, so I'm just warning you all. I'm probably getting into spoiler territory with this just because it's towards the end of the movie. But the last cameo is Adam Green, who did all the Hatchet movies, and I would definitely consider myself a fan of the Hatchet movies. He did this movie too. I don't know all his movies, but he did this movie called Frozen, and I'm pretty sure it's a guy, he's stuck on a chairlift and he's like stuck out in the snow on a ski lift, and that seems, pretty unique and interesting. I would definitely check that out. But yeah, I would consider myself a fan of the Hatchet movies. You get a lot of cool cameos in those, a lot of horror alumni, so it was cool to see him because I mess with his stuff. But anyways, back into the story. There's this failing movie production studio that makes these cult films, and the current film that they're working on is a sequel. I believe it's called Tiny Terrors 9, and it's a puppet movie, which, Full Moon's poking fun at themselves because they're famous for the Puppet Master franchise, and then they also have like quite a few other puppet related movies. What is it called? Demonic Toys. They do. I haven't seen any of those. And then they have this one called Blood Dolls, which I have not seen, but they're poking fun at themselves. They poke fun at themselves a lot throughout the entire movie, which I really enjoy. And some of you all may not like these type of movies where it's like, a movie about a movie being made, but I'm usually a big fan of those, and I enjoyed it this time. It was really fun. So they're making this doll movie, and the dolls are so funny. There's this one, I think his name is like Shit for Brains, and it's just like a baby doll with some shit on his head. And then there's this other doll that's just a dildo with googly eyes. So like I said, this movie is over the top and outlandish, which I love. That's what I was looking for watching a movie like this. A movie called Gingerdead Man. And on top of that, Gingerdead Man, Passion of the Crust. I expect it to be over the top, silly, outlandish, crazy, and it definitely delivered. So they're making this movie, Tiny Terrors 9, and this woman comes to the set she's like a washed up 80s scream queen. I don't know if she really is, but that's the character. So she brings just like a box of pastries. You got some donuts in there, and the Gingerdead Man's in the box. So that's how the Gingerdead Man comes into the story. And once again, he starts offing people. Like I said earlier, the kills, super bloody, all kinds of blood. All the practical effects look really good. Some of the kills are pretty darn creative, pretty darn funny. There's this one instance where someone gets a hot curling iron inserted in a bodily cavity. That's all I'm going to say about that, but it's pretty funny. It's pretty over the top. I was like, oh my goodness, like they're really going for it at this point, and I was not expecting that, but I'm like, okay, I know what I'm in for. So there's this other kill that involved the hand puppet. That was pretty creative as well, but all the kills, even if they weren't creative, they were just super bloody. The effects looked great. So they're making this movie. The Gingerdead Man comes through. He's offing people, and then while they're making this movie, there's this guy. He's not a kid. He's like a guy. He's like late 20s, but he's terminally ill. So it's like it's like a Make-A-Wish Foundation thing, basically, where his last wish is to come see the movie studio. And getting into spoiler territory once again. Just a heads up, just a warning. So this guy, later on, we find out he was just faking the entire time. He's not terminally ill, and he's actually this movie critic who basically tried to get all their films shut down. He, got all their films boycotted, blah, blah, blah. And he's trying to blow up the entire studio. So you have the threat of the Gingerdead Man, and then you have the threat of this crazy guy. A little bit before that, I forgot to mention this, but one of this is, I would say it's towards the third act, but one of the final sequences, not completely final, but towards the end, is the Gingerdead Man gets in this, I don't know, I think you would call it like a mech suit type thing, where there's this robot suit for one of the movies, and he's in this little glass box controlling it, and that's slightly before the reveal of this movie critic guy, but that's a huge epic showdown. That's pretty darn cool. But anyways, they take care of this movie critic guy, and then you still have the threat of the Gingerdead Man. And earlier in the film, there's this whole debacle where there's this this actor, he's like an older actor, and they got him to be in the film. He agreed to the film. He didn't know what it was. He didn't know it was going to be this like schlocky ninth sequel in a puppet franchise. So he's in his trailer. He's like, I'm not doing this, man. What the heck? Like, this is below me. This is some lowbrow stuff. Like, what the heck? I'm a, well-renowned actor. This is some BS. So anyways, what they wanted him to do was come through. They said, yeah, we want you to come through to do this scene with a AK with live rounds in it, and you're going to take out all the puppets. So he comes through. He finally just shows up while these two main characters are in danger. The guy who currently owns the production company, and then this girl who was taking care of the terminally ill guy when she thought he was terminally ill. So they kind of form like a little romance. But anyways, yeah, they're under attack by the Gingerdead Man, and he just out of the blue, the actor from earlier, out of the blue, comes through to do his scene, and he's just gunning all the puppets down with the AK, and he guns down the Gingerdead Man. And once again, yeah, I'm just spoiling everything, getting into more spoilers. Just a little heads up. I already gave a heads up, but I just feel like I should do that. I don't know. So, anyways, at this point, the Gingerdead Man is taken care of, and we see kind of like a flash forward where the Tiny Terrors 9 has won some award, and then, like I mentioned, with Adam Green being in the end, he finds the Gingerdead Man in a dumpster. He bites the Gingerdead Man, and it's like a cliffhanger ending, like, oh, he's going to be possessed by the Gingerdead Man. The Gingerdead Man's going to come back. So you see that a lot in different horror movies where it's kind of like a cliffhanger ending, like such and such is going to be possessed, or they're going to be the killer, or blah blah blah. So it was that type of thing, setting it up for a sequel, which there is a third one. So I mean, I've already watched two. I'll probably check that out eventually. I don't know when, but I'll probably check that out eventually and do a review. But actually, one more thing that I want to say, because I pretty much summed up everything I want to say about this movie, but one more thing that I want to say before, I end the review, is that something that I find funny about these movies, not the Gingerdead Man movies, but just a lot of full moon movies that I've seen, because I've seen a lot of the Evil Bong movies, and what's funny to me about a lot of these movies is the run times are super short. They're like an hour and 15 minutes, an hour 20 minutes, maybe an hour 10 minutes. So, but in addition to them having a short runtime, it's like so padded out. So all these movies, they have like a recap at the beginning, and it's like a super long recap of previously in the Gingerdead Man series. So you have a super long recap, and then the opening credits are always like I was like, what's up with these opening credits? It felt like they were 10 minutes long. I'm probably exaggerating. I don't think they were that long, but I just thought that was something on my mind. That was something I wanted to mention. Where I mean, I respect it because maybe they're like contractually obligated to have a certain runtime, which I don't know because some of their movies are like 45 minutes, so who knows? But I think it's funny how the movies are already like extremely short, and then and then yeah, let's just do 10 minutes of opening credits and a recap of the entire first movie because people are probably just coming in and watching the second one. Actually, I've done that though before with sequels, but I don't know. I'm not hating. I just wanted to mention that. But like I said, that's the last thing I wanted to mention, and I'm trying to wrap things up. But overall, I had a really fun time with this. Way more fun than I expected. I was pleasantly surprised. Hey, if the third one is anything like this, it'll be a good time. So I'm excited to eventually check out the third one. And yeah, shouts out to this movie. It was pretty darn awesome. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.